slowly start to shift the weight forward onto the big toes. Heels don't have to lift high. They can lift as high as you want. And notice if your tendency is for your ankles to wobble out or wobble in. And then counteract that. Sweep the arms back. Let the heart get really spacious. And then anchor the heels down. Reach the hips back. Long spine, Utkatasana. Let's take a couple of these pulses, but move extra slow. And you probably know what I'm about to say. Slower is stronger, but notice how moving slower awakens more awareness. See if you can drop your awareness down to that center point of the heart. As you move, try to feel both your inner world and this outer exploration. Nice, Anju. That looks so integrated and conscious. Everyone looks great. The next time you sit back, pause there and allow the right hand to drop and swing back and allow the spine to follow. And then drop the hand forward and up, and then other one. And add in a little bounce with the knees, whatever feels natural to you. Just make sure you're keeping weight in the heels so none of this is going into the front of the knees. And then once you're back at center, float up into your tippy toe Tadasana one last time. And notice, I don't know about you guys, but that last one definitely was starting to burn in my legs. Notice if this can be in a welcome respite, though it's still challenging. Okay, turn to face me and stand in the middle of the mat. So remember when I said we're going to do the floor sequence standing up? That moment is now. So here's what that's going to look like. The exhale is us reaching out. And here's what fetal position looks like when you stand up. It's really fun. If you want to get a little dramatic, you can let the front arm swing back. And I call this discus thrower. Exhale up. Inhale other. Let's all be discus throwers. That's better than fetuses. And start to play with this on your own. Nice, Jatila. That pose was for you. That's why you had to come today. So the exhale through center, and then inhale really spacious through the back as you curl to one side. Move nice and slow. Let the feet guide the way. And imagine all of your joints following, right? So first the knees, then the hips, then all the joints of the spine. And the arm is just like the icing on the cake at the very end. Even though the back heel is lifted, be really aware of the back heel reaching back so that you've got a lot of support for that knee. And the next time you're at X in the center, pause there and imagine your shoulders have like just arrived on your rib cage for the first time from space. It's kind of like this. You can do it. Yeah, do it. Yeah, good. And feel that support from below, from the rib cage, and the receptivity of the shoulders as they land onto the rib cage. Bend the knees a little bit, anchor the big toes. Shift the weight over to the right. Notice how the right side of the body almost like catches you. And then shift the weight over to the left. Let's give our arms a little break. Let's see here. Let's do one arm at a time. So if we shift from side to side, lift the arm that you're shifting towards. Try to feel that whole side catching you. And then there's the release as you toss over to the other side. This is going to help us with our balancing. Make sure the standing leg, the big toe is anchoring. And the arch will just naturally lift. Maybe you can feel that. Be really soft with the shoulder. It's almost like you're not doing anything with the arm. It just naturally follows with the momentum. So if you feel a lifting in the shoulder, you're doing too much. Ah, nice. And then let's come back to center. Arms are heavy. Let yourself land in your footprints. Close the eyes if that feels okay for you. And then gently start to push into the left foot. And as you push down into the left foot, notice how there's a tendency for the right shoulder to sort of lift and go back. And then push down into the right foot and notice how that flow happens in the opposite way. Push down into the foot, expand and circle back. And then do way less. This is just supposed to release the arms, release the shoulders. It can even be like an invisible movement if that's what the body's asking for. Okay. Before we add on our Urdhva Chandrasana, I'm really excited to do some curtsies. So let's get ready to meet whatever royalty you'd be most excited to meet. For me, I think it would be the elves from Lord of the Rings. So I invite you to get ready for that, or could be a real person. Start to bend your left knee and sweep the right leg behind as the right arm sweeps in front. Push down into the left foot, rising up. Bring the right foot wherever it wants to land in tree. And then step the right foot down, curtsy the other way, say hello to your royalty, and then push down into the right foot. And it's gotta be elves if you're doing tree pose. So anyway, sorry I gave you the option, it has to be elves. Take a few on your own. Of course, moving as slowly as you can, because that takes a lot more intelligence in the foot, in the ankle, all the muscles of balance. Beautiful. And if the body starts to make a shape that looks a little different than mine, that's fine as long as your joints feel supported. Let it be really nice and flowy, and feel how your tree stacks from the ground up. The goal is never to go deeper, but sometimes as the body warms, there is that desire. So if you're enjoying that on your curtsy, you can really impress the elves. And we'll do one more to each side. So if you want to take extra time in your tree and hold that and enjoy, you're welcome to, or in your curtsy. And after you've balanced out sides, bring both feet to the earth, relax the arms. You can hold here and just breathe, or go back into the pushing into the foot and letting the opposite shoulder circle back. Sometimes the body craves stillness, sometimes it craves a little massage, so try to be sensitive. What is your body asking for? Or maybe it's your mind, right? Maybe your mind would be soothed by stillness or by the movement. Yeah, if there's something else your body's craving, I see a forward fold here in the room. Please be open to those sensations. If you are moving, let the movement get less and less and less until your movements are invisible. Okay, option for a sip of water. I really like this track. We can totally just stay on this track. If you want something a little more upbeat, you're welcome to go to the next track. I'll leave it to you. It's pretty upbeat, yeah. Okay, I want to demo what it looks like when you did the floor sequence standing before you do it, so you don't have to think at all. Exhale, X, that one's easy. Inhale, you've already done this. And then we add on, you did this on the floor, exhale for your Urdhva Chandrasana. And then inhale back to Discus, exhale up. And then we go to the other side. It's okay if you forget what comes next. We do more of the discus than any other movement, right? It's in between each X and each Urdhva Chandrasana. And we're going to repeat this a lot on your own. so you can get into the flow of it. If you ever want to pause and hold something, please do. If you want to add, subtract, this is your time. This is the last thing that we're doing before we start to make our way to the floor to cool down. So if your body's craving something, be inspired. Listen. Here we go. So reach the arms up. Take a moment. Feel that bottom rib, right? When you're standing and you press the bottom rib back. Here, I'm going to demo just in case. I'll come even closer. Okay. This is what it looks like. So here's my bottom rib. And there's me pushing it back. I still have a lumbar curve, but my core just like instantly turns on, not in a grippy way. Take a moment to feel that. Take a couple of exhales to feel that work and notice if it helps you feel centered, supported. And the next time you exhale, that's our last one. We'll inhale over to the right for discus. And then exhale, shift the weight into the right foot and slowly push down to fan the body open any amount. And then inhale back to discus and exhale to your X. Inhale over to the other side. And then exhale, shift the weight, find your drishti. Can start small at first and then inhale back to discus. Exhale up. And inhale the other way. And now start to move with your own breath. I'm always going to encourage you to slow down. And my wish is for you to feel as connected as possible in your Urdhva Chandrasana. It really doesn't matter how close you are to the earth. But try to feel how the limbs are talking to the deep core, how they're supported by the deep core. Maybe there's a craving to hold it or to go a little further. Never the goal, but just follow the cravings of your body. Everyone looks absolutely perfect. And see if you can relax into it. Nice, Laura. Way to go, Mom. That was awesome. We'll have a few more breaths, so if you do want a chance to hold, I invite you to play with that on the next round. And so amazing. I haven't really cued anything with alignment, but I'm just seeing how perfect all of your alignment is because you're allowing the deep core to support you. Really looks amazing. Wow, I wonder if you would go on forever. No one's stopping. It's awesome. So feel free to go on forever. If it's feeling good, I do not want to get in the way of that. If you feel like you've done what you need to do, we can meet in a wide Tadasana. No need to rush. And if you're following along with the music, go to the 4th track. I think it's Inner Sanctum. It's something more relaxing just to get ready for the cool down. Gently heel toe the feet in underneath the hips. Close the eyes and just notice any sense of movement through the body. Sometimes when we go through those dynamic flowing sequences, you can actually still feel them flowing through you. Kind of like after chanting kirtan, you can still feel the vibrations even in the silence. And grab your blocks. You might not need them, but we just want to be really kind and gentle with ourselves. You can place the blocks in front of you. Stay facing me. And Imagine you're a sumo wrestler. Let your weight shift from side to side. Lift the opposite foot effortlessly. You don't want to feel tension. So you're like sumo wrestler in space. I think I'm feeling silly today, so that's cool. Let the feet widen as much as your hip strength can support. And then let the feet start to stick to the mat and just sway the body from side to side. And come back to center. Turn the feet forward so the second toes are parallel with one another. The heels come out. Anchor the big toes and suction the outer edges of the foot down with the big toes anchored, and notice how the inner arches lift and the talus, the center of the ankle, balances at the center of the heel. Bend the knees a little bit, bring some weight into the heels, and imagine you've got big thick rubber bands on the ankles. Pick them up and start to stretch them forward, letting the whole body lengthen. And then bend deeply into the knees, send the hips back a little. As you release forward, hands come to the blocks at first. You can adjust where they are. I like having them kind of underneath my heart. Bend into one knee at a time, swaying the hips from side to side, and try to avoid the urge to go into a stretch, and instead try to feel how the legs connect to one another. So as you bend into one leg and straighten the other, you can almost feel their connection, the base of the pelvis. Start to notice the exhale moment when the diaphragm lifts. You might even feel that gently pulling on the connections into the legs. You can let the spine sway gently. And then if you find a moment that's really interesting, pause there and breathe. I really enjoy gently rocking the weight forward and back on my feet so that I transfer the sensation from the hamstrings forward to the adductors and vice versa. And then if you are holding and exploring something, try to do the same thing on the other side, but it's okay if it's not exact. And then heel toe the feet in a little bit extra. Bring one of your blocks back because it's going to be your little toadstool. Bring your hips down to your block and take a moment in a supported malasana. I like the middle height, but I have the shortest shins ever, so I don't know what works for most people. Try different heights. Bring your awareness to your big toe, and that same thing that we did in our straddle of suction cupping the outer edge of the foot down, letting the arches lift. You can bring the hands to the inside of the legs and be really gentle here, but just feel how the expansion through the chest and the spine almost encourages the legs to reach open, and then gently squeeze into that. Right? So knees squeeze into the arms, and see if you can actually use that to draw the sits bones together slightly and lengthen up through the spine. And then stay supple. So imagine that strength kind of like a tall piece of bamboo, where it's really strong, but it can still sway from side to side. And then gently move your block out of the way so you can bring your hips all the way down. Bring the soles of the feet together. Heels are going to go a little further forward just so that this is nice and soft, and then touch your big toes towards one another so they're mirror image. Stay right here, or if you want to gently circle on the sits bones, you can. You might want to go forward a little, and that's fine, but I do recommend gently continuing to move so there's not a sense of like pushing too far. Circle the other way if you're exploring that. Arms can do whatever feels natural here.